Kim Jisoo of Blackpink at Dior Spring-Summer 2026. The very moment her name echoed through Paris, the air inside the show cracked like lightning. The lights dimmed, the whispers hushed, and the city that thought it had already seen everything suddenly froze as if time itself refused to move forward. Cameras weren't just pointed at the runway, they were hunting, desperate to capture the unstoppable force that had just entered. This wasn't just a fashion appearance. This was Jisoo turning Dior's grand finale into a stage of history, rewriting the rules of global influence before the world's eyes, and no one in Paris was ready to handle it. The scene began with Jisoo, who had quietly slipped into Paris days earlier, managing to avoid the suffocating chaos of paparazzi that usually follows her every step. But when she finally emerged for Dior, dressed with that familiar elegance that somehow balances modern sharpness with timeless softness, the entire fashion press corps knew this moment would not simply pass. It's easy to underestimate Jisoo until you see her in person. Her presence is deceptive. It doesn't shout, it whispers, and somehow that whisper bends the room around her. She has perfected the kind of power that luxury brands dream about. The ability to make millions of people stop scrolling, stop breathing, and just look. That's brand dominance at its purest form. In marketing psychology, it's what experts call the attention freeze. Most celebrities compete for eyeballs. Jisoo doesn't compete, she commands. As the flashes hit, Dior executives knew exactly what they had just won. Having Jisoo sit front row wasn't just about glamour, it was a billion-dollar chess move. Luxury brands aren't gambling when they align with her. They are investing in a guarantee. 'Cause behind every Jisoo moment is not only a legion of fans but also a tidal wave of cultural influence that reshapes markets. You don't just see her, you want what she embodies. And that's the very essence of luxury, selling not products but the dream of belonging to a higher world. Paris could feel it. Dior could feel it. Even competitors secretly felt it. But just as the fashion world was catching its breath from Jisoo's appearance, the next shockwave tore through the hall. Jimin BTS entered, and Paris erupted like it was the opening of an Olympic ceremony. The reaction wasn't applause, it was hysteria. This wasn't just Dior inviting another global star. This was Dior placing a bet so bold, it threatened to tilt the balance of fashion marketing. Jimin didn't just walk into the venue, he transformed it. His arrival was proof that the barrier between music domination and fashion supremacy has officially collapsed. And the brilliance here was that Dior knew exactly what it was doing. It wasn't just inviting Jimin for the cameras, it was rewriting the playbook on how fashion and entertainment merge. Imagine this, two of the most powerful Korean cultural icons under one roof, representing one of the oldest luxury houses in Paris. It's the collision of heritage and modernity, East and West, tradition and rebellion. For a brief, surreal moment, Dior's final day wasn't about silhouettes, fabrics, or colors, it was about survival. Could the brand contain the level of global attention Jisoo and Jimin just pulled in? Paris wasn't handling it. Paris was collapsing under the weight of the moment. Here's where the story twists again. When Jisoo and Jimin are mentioned together, people assume the narrative will blend into one shared spotlight. But the truth is more magnetic. Their power doesn't dilute, it multiplies. For Jisoo, Dior is a stage she has mastered, playing the long game of luxury influence. For Jimin, Dior is a battlefield where he claims new territory, proving that fashion is no longer an accessory to music but a parallel empire. Each moment they occupied was their own, yet together they created a synergy that Dior couldn't have manufactured even with decades of planning. Now let's pause here because what's unfolding in Paris isn't just about star power. It's a masterclass in how influence translates into measurable value. Fashion insiders often whisper about the Arnault effect, the way LVMH quietly uses cultural figures as leverage to drive stock prices, shift consumer attention, and reposition entire brands. And here's the secret. Moments like Jisoo and Jimin at Dior aren't just photos for magazines. They're signals sent directly to global investors telling them, this brand is alive. This brand owns culture. In marketing psychology, it's called manufactured scarcity, turning a moment into something so unique, so unrepeatable that consumers chase it at any cost. And that brings us to the cliffhanger, the twist that nobody saw coming. 'Cause just when Paris thought this final day had reached its limit, whispers began to circulate backstage. Rumors of a collaboration, something far beyond just attendance. Something Dior wasn't ready to confirm but couldn't deny. Were Kim Jisoo and Park Jimin being lined up not just as guests but as future faces of a campaign that could reset luxury branding for the next decade? No one could say for sure, but the buzz was deafening. And in the silence between the runway looks, you could feel the weight of possibility. Something bigger than fashion, bigger than Paris itself. This is where we step back and see the bigger game. Jisoo's mastery of quiet power teaches entrepreneurs something vital. That influence doesn't always scream, it sometimes whispers, and those whispers ripple louder than thunder. Jimin's fearless crossover into fashion is a roadmap for anyone building a brand. Don't wait for permission to enter new arenas, claim them. Together, their presence reminds us that success is not about being everywhere, it's about being unforgettable when it matters most. But let's not lose the human element. For all the billion-dollar strategy playing out in Dior's marble halls, there were also light, human moments. Fans outside chanted until their voices broke, some crying just for a chance to glimpse their idols. Journalists abandoned their seats just to get closer. And in a city that prides itself on being unshakable, Paris itself felt starstruck. Even seasoned fashion insiders laughed nervously, whispering that this finale felt less like a show and more like a takeover. And here we return to that shocking opening. Paris wasn't ready. Paris couldn't handle it. Because the truth is, Dior's Spring-Summer 2026 finale didn't just belong to the brand, it belonged to the icons who turned the city into their stage. Jisoo and Jimin didn't just attend, they redefined what it means to dominate culture in real time. And in that instant, the final day of Paris Fashion Week became more than a closing act, it became a cultural earthquake. Jisoo Blackpink, radiating elegance with every step, carried not just Dior's legacy but the unstoppable power of Blackpink's global reach. Jimin, magnetic as ever, embodied the precision and artistry of BTS, blurring the line between idol and icon. Together, their presence turned front rows into battlegrounds of influence, where luxury, music, and history collided. Paris wasn't witnessing guests. It was witnessing rulers of a new era, carving their imprint so deeply that even Dior's runway seemed too small to contain it. So here's the question we leave hanging. If Dior's finale could feel like this, what happens next? What if the whispers of something bigger prove true? What if this wasn't the peak, but only the beginning of a new era where Korean icons don't just attend luxury shows, they run them? That's a story waiting for the next chapter, and you can be sure when it breaks, you'll want to be here to witness it. Until then, don't just watch this moment, rewatch it, share it, live in it. Because history doesn't often repeat itself, but when it does, it's already too late to be first. Subscribe now because the next chapter isn't just fashion, it isn't just entertainment. It's the collision of worlds, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Paris couldn't handle it. Can you?